welcome to something to talk about.
Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and it's Saturday morning, and it's time to talk about the Song of Ice and Fire characters, some of those more obscure characters that don't make it into the TV show. And yeah, I don't know, is Qarl the Maid obscure? I really don't know. I've looked at least the name and a little bit of research into pretty much every character, and I'm not really sure what's obscure and what's not. He seems like a rather big character to me, honestly. What do you guys think? If you don't know what's going on here and you're wondering why some dude is in a dungeon screaming at you, this is why. Emphasis on the spoilers for the books and possibly the show. Yeah, you guys ready to get into it with Qarl the Maid? Got a ironborn warrior and Asha Greyjoy's favorite lover. All right, I won't go so far to say a trigger warning, more of a warning. This episode gets this character gets pretty dirty, pretty sexual. So keep that in mind. And I'm not just talking about some above the covers, lights off, procreation only stuff. Talking about some exciting non-vanilla stuff. So that's not something you're interested in hearing. Definitely don't watch. Not at all, please. You're gonna be like, wow, that got dirty. Like, yeah, it did. All right, I'm excited. I'm just gonna look like a pig anytime I say I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this. All right, Qarl the Maid. Oh, such a pretty man. All right, Qarl, widely known as Qarl the Maid, is a ironborn warrior sworn to Balon Greyjoy. He is known as Qarl the Maid to differentiate himself from Qarl Shepherd, Queer Qarl Kenning, Qarl Quickaxe, and Qarl the Thrall. Oh, he's got him Qarl. Qarl, but more for his smooth cheeks. Right, that's why he's called Qarl the Maid, because he's got smooth cheeks. He is the grandson of a thrall. Qarl is Asha Greyjoy's favorite lover, which upsets Christopher Botley. Yeah, this guy is everything Christopher isn't, including Asha Greyjoy's lover. Something you're not, Christopher. Go watch my Christopher Botley video. Qarl the Maid is beardless and pink cheeked. His straight sandy hair brushes against his shoulders. He has a lean swimmer's physique with no scars, a shy smile, and he is sarcastic. He is renowned as one of the fiercest warriors of the Iron Islands and wields a longsword and a dagger, and is not an experienced horse rider. Yeah, they don't really got a lot of horses. That's it. So, Thralls of the Iron Islands. So I'm going with Thralls because he's not part of a house. I could talk about Greyjoy. So the reason I put the Greyjoy one on his on the thumbnail is because he is sworn to House Greyjoy, specifically Asha. But he's not part of any house. He's not a Greyjoy, if that's what you're wondering. He's a grandson of a Thrall. So let's talk about what a Thrall is, specifically in the Iron Islands. There are Thralls north of the Wall, but I'm not talking about that. A thrall is an indentured servant now found in Westeros only in the Ironborn and beyond the Wall. See, I told you. Thralls of the Ironborn may be obtained by paying a, quote, iron price, capturing them by raiding under the, quote, old way, and not the gold price. So they are not slaves since they may not be sold and may not be obtained by the gold price. That's what makes them not slaves. They are just captives. They are not bought and traded and sold. You have to steal them. So I can't go and steal a bunch of thralls and then sell them to Ted over there, right? That would be a slave, and that's not what thralls are. So yeah, unlike children of slaves, the children of thralls are free if they are born on the Iron Islands. Although some Ironborn believe the children must be dedicated to the Drown God. There you go. Oh my God. I wrote this. The children of thralls cannot be taken from their parents until they are at least 7 years old, the age when most Ironborn begin an apprenticeship or to join a crew. Thralls are used for farming and mining activities in which the Ironborn consider unsuitable for freedmen. Yeah, they work. the Ironborn don't like working. Educated thralls are valued by the Ironborn as stewards tutors or scribes, while craftsmen, thralls are highly regarded. Some ironborn priests are known to sacrifice thralls to the drowned god by slitting their throats and giving their bodies to the sea. Yeah, that sounds horrific. Peaches for me. All right, it was really hard to write this because we're about to talk up a whole story about Qarl the Maid and Peaches. And I kept getting the song Peaches by the Presidents of the United States of America. It's a band. Stuck in my head. Not The Office. No, the band. When Asha Greyjoy first met Qarl, she called his attempt at growing a beard peach fuzz. And Qarl confessed to Asha that he's never even seen a peach. So she encouraged him to join her crew, and on the next voyage south, this is back during the summer when Robert Baratheon were still king, they sailed on her ship, the Black Wind, down the coast trading. They stopped at Fair Isle, Lannisport in the Arbor, where the peaches were large and sweet, and she made him try a bite, and then she tasted the juice off his chin. And that night, they devoured peaches and each other. That's how she wrote it, or that's how it said in her POV, so I kept it in. She can't recall if it was in 293 AC or 294 AC. Yeah. So much of his backstory is all from her point of view, and they hooked up, so it's like, this is kind of a hot backstory. They devoured peaches and each other. They cannibalized? No. They just banged. Later, when Theon returns to the Iron Islands, Qarl and two companions, Skite and Uller, encounter Theon and Asha Greyjoy in Lordsport. There, they recount the story of the death of Skite's brother, Eldis, who drank too much wine and died from a burst belly. That's fantastic. Asha tells Theon that he should put them on his crew, but of course she's bluffing, because she's pretending to be somebody else, and she already has him on her crew, and she likes him. All right, so now we're going to jump even further ahead. That was Clash of Kings stuff. Now we're even further. The King's Moot on Old Wick. So Qarl serves aboard Asha's ship, the Black Wind. Later, after Balon Greyjoy dies, Asha goes to 10 Towers to gather support. So 10 Towers is on Harlaw, and her other uncles, are from Harlaw, Roderick the Reader, and that's where they're gathering support, right? So as they approach 10 Towers, Qarl counts the longships that are gathered in support and finds the number lacking. He says, "They have not come, or not enough of them." Should I go with that? I don't know. Asha agreed, but couldn't voice it among her crew. Yeah, she can't show any doubt among her crew. The Damp Hair decides that there will be a King's Moot on Old Wick, and Qarl follows Asha there to support her during the King's Moot. And Qarl wins at the finger dance against Eldred Cod, all right, with one of Eldred's fingers landing in a wine cup of Wrath the Lipper. So that's like when you take an axe with one hand and you throw it at somebody. Oh, my shoulder clicked when I did that. Throw it at somebody, and they have to, with one hand, catch the axe and throw it back. I think, I've read the book 100 times, and not that much, but a lot. And I think that's how you play the finger dance. I wouldn't do that, man. That's how you lose fingers. All right, anyways. Aaron Damphair leads the ceremonial council at the ruined bones of the Grey King's Hall on Naga's Hill. The commoners crowd together at the Knoll's base with all the thralls, women, and children behind them. Some captains and lords are accompanied by maesters, singers, knights, and thralls as the captains make their way up the slope. Each candidate who desires to be king is supported by 3 champions. First, Lord Gilbert Farwin, my king, the rightful king. They should have picked Gilbert. He walked up and did his whole thing. Then Eric Ironmaker and Dustin Drum, and then Victorian Greyjoy, and then Asha. So we're going to get to Asha's. So Asha's Queen's Moot. So Asha Greyjoy comes next after Victorian with our boy, Qarl the Maid, and her simp, Christopher Botley, and the Knight Sir Harris Harlaw as her champions. Everyone has 3 champions. They go up with 3 champions, and these are her 3 champions. Where was I? She does it better than anyone ever expected, both at making them laugh and doing some cool modern art with pine cones or something. You had to be there. I get it. I just find it really funny because I never want to explain the whole analogy that she's trying to do, where she's like has pine cones and turnips and so on, and there's like a whole and stones, and she's like, "This is what you get from this place. This is it. That's why we shouldn't be trying to invade the North." But it's just funnier to be like, I don't know. She did something with a bunch of pine cones. You had to be there. It was interesting. So then she presents her champions who stand at the foot of the hill. And then everybody starts like chanting. So Roderick the Reader starts first, and then Baelor Blacktide, and then everybody else joins in the chant, including Qarl with Asha Queen, Asha Queen, as the Victorian supporters start to yell, Victorian King, and they're kind of like about to fight. And then Euron Greyjoy shuts the entire crowd up when he has his dragon horn blown. And Euron slowly climbs the hill, and he says that he is the loudest, eldest living child of Balon Greyjoy, and that he has allied with what? That he has sailed. I don't know. I said ailed. Sailed to Ashai by the shadow. And then Qarl interrupts him by yelling, "If you like shadows so well, go back there." But Euron ignores him. Let's focus on that for a second. So it's not as epic. It's way more epic than I'm making it sound, right? Because this amazing, crazy dragon horn shuts everybody up. There's about to be a riot, stops the riot, right? And Aaron Damphair hears it, and he even goes silent. It's his POV. It's probably one of the best chapters in all the books, right? It's his POV where this horn gets blown, and he's like, "Oh, whoa!" And it like even blanked him up. And then Euron starts talking, and he's like, "I'm the eldest son. I sailed all the way from the shadow." And Qarl's just like, "Yeah, go back there, boo!" Like, he is not fazed by this horn at all. He doesn't give a crap. He's like, "Yeah, and you're ugly, boo. What happened to that eye, loser?" Like, he just starts heckling Euron Greyjoy, like, just heckling the crow's eye. That's ball. That's cojones, okay? He's got a pair on him, this Qarl the Maid. I mean, we'll learn about it later on. But yeah, you know what I mean. So he interrupts and yells, "If you like the shadow so much, go back there." But Euron just ignores him. Euron promises the entirety of Westeros and gaining dragons and gives them lavish gifts, and he wins everybody over to his side and wins the King's Moot and becomes king. I'm not going to dwell on it. You guys know about Euron Greyjoy. Okay, moving on. We still got a few more slides. Lord Glover's bedchamber. Okay. Ooh, guys, light a candle. All right. Get your favorite flavor of bubbly. Let's should I read this like ASMR, like I'm reading like a romance novel? After fleeing the King's Moot of 10 Towers, Asha Greyjoy receives tidings. Oh wait, no, I forgot that it starts off with her receiving tidings that Euron had married her to Eric Anvilbreaker. So she fled back to the north. Qarl joins Asha in returning to Deepwood Mott in the north. The night that she receives a letter from Barrowtown from Ramsay Bolton that is written on ironborn blood, and it comes with a piece of Theon's skin. She goes and sleeps in the bedchamber. She drinks too much wine, and her head is pounding, and she goes up there, and Qarl follows her to the bedchamber, and she pushes him away, but he refuses to go, and he pulls out his knife, and he tells her to undress. And she calls him a beardless boy and to go screw himself. She doesn't use those words, but he says that he'd rather screw her. So I know what you're thinking if you don't remember this chapter, if you've never read this, but I read this, and most people read this as like a consent, no consent. This is a game. They are clearly using titles for themselves. She's calling him beardless boy. He's calling her girl. There is definitely, at least I would bet the farm on it that this is a agreed upon play that's going on here. And it gets a little rough with the old knife thing, but yeah, we'll get to it. So you don't know what's going on, hear me out until we're done. And then you're like, oh yeah, that was definitely consent. So yeah, it comes off a little rough, but I do believe it's all their play and Asha's into it. So he cuts her dress off with a knife and she tries to grab her axe, but Qarl drops his knife and catches her wrist to make her drop the axe. He tears the rest of her clothes off and avoids her kneeling him in his man parts. And he goes, "I'll have you now." He says, and she says, "Do it." And she'll kill him in her sleep. "Do it, and I'll kill you in my sleep." So I'll stop there. It gets pretty, steamy, let's say, after that. But yeah, it sounds fantastic. Well, I was in a mood when I wrote this. Not that kind of a mood. Sometimes I mess with future me. I write things awkwardly because I know I have to read them. I literally play tricks like, oh, this is going to be really weird to read. That guy's going to have to deal with it. But it's me. I don't know why I do that. But yeah, so where was I at? So yeah, I'll stop there. It sounds fantastic. Afterwards, she says, "I am a woman wed, and you despoiled me, you beardless boy. My lord husband will cut your balls off and put you in a dress." And Qarl says, if he can get out of his chair, because Aaron Ironmaker, whatever his name is, Anvil Breaker Ironmaker, same guy, he's like in a wheelchair. He's like 80 years old or older than that, right? So she gets up and thinks, "I am married, wedded and bedded, though not by the same man." So she crawls back into bed and snuggles with him and cuddles with him. And then she wakes him up for round 2. So there is a much more tender, loving round 2 that the game, there isn't any real playing in it, and she just wakes him up and they just have another one. I told you it's a steamy, the steamy episode, right? Steaminess is done, though. That's all you guys get. I will talk about it more later. So, fight by Deepwood. During the night when Asha is having some post-sex cheese. I always call it the post-coital cheese. Because, yeah, she has round 1 and 2, and then she goes downstairs to the Glover kitchens, and she just gets like a big wheel of cheese and just starts. It's like, yeah, man, you got to get that post-coital cheese. Now, cheese tastes the best then, right? So the alarm is raised when 5 flint men from the mountain clans try to scale the walls. Asha's men defeat them quickly. Asha's brutal interrogation of the survivor reveals the true purpose was to open the gate for 3,000 men coming to take Deepwood Motte. From the watchtower, Asha spots Northmen camouflage as trees. Seeing she is outnumbered, Asha decides to retreat to her longships under the cover of darkness. After a marching all night, they make a small camp, during the morning, right? And she sees a couple. So this is when they're at the camp. So they sneak off. They're trying to get back to their ships, but they've been going all night. So they stop for a second to have a little bit of a rest. And then a couple sneak out to kind of bang in the trees. And she wishes she could do the same with Qarl, but soon they come under attack by the Northmen in what would be known as the fight by Deepwood Motte. Qarl wields his longsword in the fight, and he kills a Northman who grabs at Asha's hair. She turns to see the Northman dying, still clutching some of her hair, and Qarl standing over him with the sword dripping with blood and moonlight in his eyes. Yeah, it's kind of an awesome scene. Go Qarl. So at one point, she fights back-to-back with her lover, Qarl, and Qarl is then captured. Yeah, so they do fight back-to-back. What's another really awesome fight scene where 2 couples are fighting back-to-back? When Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu do it in Attack of the Clones, right? But it's, Qarl and Asha. Whatever, that's funny. All right, so he gets captured along with everybody else, and Christopher Botley and several other members of the Ironborn are captured by the army of Stannis Baratheon, right? I got one more slide and then the final slide. This is my penultimate slide. Captive. Well, Asha is taken by Stannis for his march on Winterfell. Qarl and other ironborn survivors are imprisoned by Deepwood. Asha's 4 longships are captured or burned by, Alysanne Mormont. Qarl is later freed and ransomed along with other ironborn to Tycho Nestoris, a Braavosi banker who needs an escort to get him to Stannis, whose army is marching on Winterfell. If you don't know who Tycho Nestoris is, I have a video on that. It's this whole thing. He's a banker from the Iron Bank of Braavos who's like traveling the north. It's like really cool. I love that character. I like Qarl too. All right. Whose army is marching to Winterfell. When Asha Greyjoy is a prisoner of Stannis Baratheon, they are camped at the Crofters village. When alone and being threatened by Clayton Suggs, they think they are being attacked by the Frey and Bolton men. But no, they are not in immediate danger, and the riders are not hostile. It is instead the group of Tycho Nestoris, who's the representative of the Bank of Braavos, Iron Bank, and 2 men of the Night's Watch, and 7 Iron Men that he ransomed from Sybil Locke, Sybil Glover. Asha recognizes Christopher Botley, and I'm assuming Qarl the Maid among them, because Qarl's there too. Then in the Winds of Winter sample chapter, so I want to make sure you guys know in this last sentence, it's not in a published book. It's in Winds of Winter, which isn't published by the time of this. Hopefully it is sometime, right? But yeah, so it is subject to change until it's actually not a preview chapter anymore. I always like to say that. Qarl and Christopher accompany Asha to their meeting with Stannis when she asks about the fate of Theon, her captive brother. And Theon considers Qarl and Triss to be Asha's pets. Yeah, that's pretty close. All right, that's it. Let's talk about cheese. I was really messing with myself this time. So I like Qarl. He seems to be everything Christopher Botley is not. And that's what Asha likes about him. God, Christopher Botley's just catching strays. He's not in this video, and I'm still just giving him crap. Oh, I hate Christopher. What a loser. I found a post on Reddit called "A Moment to Appreciate Qarl the Maid" by Rocky Rockington. Great name. It surprisingly is not about the rough and kinky lovemaking, but how he talks back to Crow's Eye during the King's Moot. This is no theory. It's just acknowledging how awesome it is that when everyone else is silent and shocked by the dragon horn, Qarl is clapping back. Yeah, no, totally. I love it too. I don't think I even thought about it until I wrote the whole thing and then I found that. I was like, yeah, no. So I went back and I made sure I brought up how not only is he heckling during a King's Moot, but it's after that horn and everyone else is quiet and he's just like, yeah, you're ugly. He's just talking crap. Also now on to the sexual roleplay. I found a take on it that I completely agree with. So on Agent Ruka's blog on Tumblr, where someone asked the opinion of the lovemaking, the response is pretty much my exact thoughts. So to save me from ranting even more than I already did about sexual role-playing and CNC, go read that. That's going to literally, so I found that it in very, very good words, in multiple paragraphs, explains what is going on in that scene and why it's not bad, why it's not problematic. And I love it. Hopefully everybody agrees with me there. Maybe you read that scene wrong or differently, and that's fine. If you have a different take on that scene than me or the person who wrote this blog or whatever, that's fine. It's how you read and interpret it. It's just definitely not what I think George is going for there. So yeah, Qarl the Maid, we got through it. And for a more light topic, I can't believe I didn't add Qarl the Maid to my Song of Ice and Fire tournament this year. I already wrote down he'll be in the next one because he's actually a really good fighter. He would have been pretty good, man. So yeah, thank you for watching. What do you think of Qarl the Maid? Is Qarl better than Christopher Botley in every way? The answer to that question is yes. And yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm gonna get all serious. It's been a really long couple months. I've been really busy. We have a new kid. We moved into a house. We have a bunch of problems going down. And I've been still trying to crank out these videos for you. So I hope you guys are enjoying them. So yeah, that's all I got.